There's a slurp.
That was
there
good.
It is.
Yes.
My mic is sounding really loud right now. That
You're
slurp
good. I
annoyed
turned mine
me,
up too. Yeah.
But I know
Good
so
mic.
many of you yesterday said that you enjoyed that sound of the slurp.
They're weird people.
It's
I wish my
disgusting.
wife felt the same about my sleep apnea. Since I've hurt my knee, I have gained weight. But look, I got these bumps growing all over.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Growing
because
every day.
I've been doing the curls at the gym since I can't do the squats. So
Might as well.
I'm going to have a little trouble with that closet door. Gerald is here. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Quarter Black Garrett is here.
Yo,
How
what's
are
up?
you? Dave Landau is here. You can find him at Compound Media. And somewhere in Omaha?
I'll be in Omaha and Raleigh and
Oh.
Detroit.
Well, when in Omaha?
I will be in Omaha in the beginning of March.
Beginning of March.
Yes.
And what is that crowd like?
They're good.
No, but I'm saying, does it have to be spaced out?
Salt of the earth.
Yeah, does it have to?
6.
Do they salt the crowd before they go out?
I believe it's 6 feet between each table.
Oh, well, that's great for comedy
Okay.
compression.
It is. What you want to do is create a roll. So if there's any way to avoid that, it's the
Right?
best.
Yes, exactly. It's like the wave just starts and someone, he's
no.
over there.
It's just one guy starts the wave and everybody's like, no, sir.
No, sir. No, you are a disappointment, and I could hurt you. We have Mike Rowe on the show
Yes.
today.
Boom.
We have a lot. There's so much
Big
in the
guest.
news. You know, yesterday we had to get our sea legs a
did,
little bit
yes.
because we are suing Facebook, and you can go read about that case at loudwithcreditor.com. Let me say this too really quickly. Loudwithcreditor.com/mugclub. Creditor returns. You get $30 off. How can you
Boom.
support the lawsuit? Just join Mug Club or go to the merch shop. That's it. If you want to
Yeah.
pay full price instead of the discount, we don't really do the charity thing here. That's why we haven't done Patreon. We want to have a self-sustaining business where we can be the people who, you know, in the offices at Zuckerberg, they go, shit!
Right, exactly. Well,
Again?
you can show your support for us online, right? On social media and letting people know what we're doing.
Share.
So that's a great way to
Pass it
support us.
around.
We'll also be talking about anal swabs, which is new with the COVID,
Wait,
double
what? Oh, that's
masking from Fauci, as well as AOC, Beautiful and Brave, Survivor
Brave,
story.
yes.
That's right.
Newly survived. Dave Landau looks very concerned. That's why I didn't want to put the map on there, because now you're staring at it.
I'm not
What map?
like someone at a
staring
bar
you.
when football's on the screen.
I'm not
people
familiar.
here.
Soccer, you mean?
Hey, you know what it is?
My football.
It's Black History Month.
Yeah.
Oh.
Little known fact.
wow.
So every week we're going to be dropping you every day some Black History Month facts that you may not know. You all know about the
good.
Rosa Parks and the railroad and
course.
Harriet
Yeah.
Tubman and
All
the
the
two.
Bubba
important
Sparks.
stuff.
Before the FBI murdered him, Martin Luther King Jr. dropped a mixtape under his rap alter ego, Lil Dreamer. The more you know.
Really?
So, anything to add there?
That's a good mixtape.
I just, MLKKK's Most Wanted. That was his
Oh,
hit.
wow. That's not good.
No, that's an Ice Cube, guys. Ice Cube.
I don't know
No.
what he's talking
No.
about.
Ice
Send your letters at Dave Landau.
Is
You know what?
so
Show
low.
up in Omaha with a hefty jacket, so we don't know what's under it.
Yes,
Keep 'em
if
guessing.
all the black people in Omaha
is it? It's
want
hot
to
in here?
Yeah, they'll all show up.
I would say it's hot in here, but I'm also wearing level 3 body
Yeah,
armor,
that's
Spartan
true, yeah,
armor.
you
It's a level.
We'll talk about him a little bit later. No insurrection in this studio. But first, this is the story that is breaking right now. It's making the rounds on all the Twitter. And we always have to be careful because you can never joke about this. And you
Ever.
can never question any facts, even in the absence of any. But AOC did a 90-minute stream on Instagram live yesterday, and there are a lot of claims in there. Let's start with let's let it straight from the horse-faced mouth.
Like I'm here, and the bathroom door starts going like this. Like the bathroom door's behind me, or rather in front of me, and I'm like this, and the door hinges right here. And I just hear,
she's got a future in
"Where is
off-Broadway.
she? Where is she?" I mean, I thought I was going to die. Is because these folks who tell us to move on, that it's not a big deal, that we should forget what's happened, or even telling us to apologize.
No one said that.
These are the same tactics of abusers.
It just turned out Where Is She was the DoorDash guy with her chimichangas.
And I haven't told many people that in my life. Whether you experience any sort of trauma in your life, small to large, these episodes can compound on one another. There's no, something really big happening to you, and then you deal with it, and then you move on, and then when something else happens to you, you deal with that.
Okay, so look, I don't want to say, because we don't know, right?
Yeah.
And, some people say believe all women. I say believe all facts. And I think that if this happened, listen, AOC, horrible. If you were sexually assaulted, these men should be buried beneath the railroad tracks. Okay, does everyone else here agree? Sexual assault, awful. Now, why might I think it's a little bullshitty is, okay, go with me here, because you equivocated, but you created equivalency between sexual assault and verbal abuse. You created an equivalency between the Crips running a train on somebody locked in a closet for days on end and the insults from Gazoo.
Not the same.
What did you, dum-dums? I need to go to my counselor.
Yeah.
I just don't like when people say I almost died when they didn't almost die.
Yeah.
I was behind the
and that's
door.
the
I
thing.
almost
Like,
died.
how can you prove what she's saying? Yes, people storming the Capitol, if they're saying kill all the senators, is a bad thing, and you would want to run away from that, and it would be kind of a scarring experience
Makes
for
sense.
us to endure, right? I would absolutely give you that, but nobody can back up her story of what she's saying. Like, if that happened, then that's horrible. That is terrible. But did it really happen? I don't believe her for a number of other
very
reasons.
insensitive that the insurrectionists weren't asking, where is Z?
Oh.
That's true.
Boy, this is a dead room. Thanks, guys.
I just don't know how I'm supposed to play this one. I gotta be
Should we
honest.
laugh
I told
too
Dave,
bad,
I said,
or-
Dave, don't make any rape jokes because, of course, listen, we're not, rape is bad.
Yeah,
And I
got
text
it.
Now you
back,
can
I'll
say
do
whatever
my
you
best.
want.
Now he can make his rape joke
Well,
and feel safe.
it's just they were in there saying, "Where is she?" And I was in a closet, and I was like, "Oh no!"
And it reminded me
Yeah.
of the time that I was teased.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I almost died because, nothing happened really.
Nothing really happened.
Well, yeah, once she said that Ted Cruz tried to murder her, I think that's when I stopped believing her even more.
Which, by the way, Senator Ted Cruz, you're welcome to be on the show, but it's not a softball. You've got some splaining to
Yes,
do.
a
Not a
little
big
bit.
fan, Cruz.
You guys could talk beards.
Cruz missile turned into more of a dud. Yeah. What was that?
I was trying to.
Is that your wedding night?
No.
So, AOC, and here she is now. She
Walk
moves
right
forward.
into that.
AOC talking about. You follow the puck when Landau's laughing at my ribs on Gerald. Okay,
No, don't
'Cause-
do it.
Do it. Gerald deserves everything he gets. AOC. Now here she is talking about. Speaking of Cruz, recent disappointment. But I don't know. Hey, you know what, Senator Cruz? Some people are saying that you don't believe there was any election irregularities. I want you to defend your position in your own words, but it does need to be defended. Just my opinion. This is.
was
I should have
yeah.
worn the undercover
Yeah.
vest. Here's AOC talking about Holly and Cruz.
Is that when given another window of political opportunity for themselves, even if they know that it means that it will endanger their colleagues, they will do it again. And that's the real reason why I think that Senator Josh Hawley needs to resign, why Senator Ted Cruz needs to resign, along with many others. Because they will do it again.
They will do what again?
Exactly.
The tall glass of unity.
What is it? Think about this. This is the problem. It's like, look, we need to unify. Okay, we understand.
Right.
Those Nazis tried to kill me. How does this work? Did you notice this happened with Barack Obama too? They were referring to George W. Bush as a Nazi.
Yeah.
Right? You couldn't
Absolutely.
actually say, you know what, actually, I don't think George W. Bush is as bad as Halliburton. That was for about 8 freaking years.
Yeah.
And then when Barack Obama came in, they said it's time for unity. It's time for unity, where the very first executive action was reversing the Mexico City policy, where our taxpayer dollars went to fund abortions overseas.
Yeah.
Donald Trump reversed that, and then Joe Biden, because priorities, made sure that your tax dollars are funding abortion overseas. Again, unity, unity. You need to resign. We need to impeach. We need to kick them out. And Ted Cruz tried to kill me. Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe we should unify in telling you to go fornicate yourself with a wire
yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we can do. What is the worst thing that Ted Cruz said throughout this entire thing? I mean, I'm really searching for the thing that she's saying. That's what he said that made people want to murder me, because he said, let's have an inquiry over the next 10 days. I think on the 6th. That's what he wanted to do. He was going to represent the states that filed a lawsuit in the Supreme Court that never actually got to the Supreme Court. Other than that, he said there were irregularities and things we needed to look into. If you're lowering the bar, fine. Let's lower it for everybody. Every one of you who said something about Black Lives Matter and said it's fine to be outraged, and said that you're more likely as a black person to be shot by a cop than a white person, which is a lie, by the way, that incited people to violence, by the way. Let's call you before the Senate Judiciary Committee.
AOC is a petulant child who was carried by Satan in the desert in Passion of the Christ. She was a little baby on the shoulder.
Really?
Do you think she acts like a toddler? I don't think so.
I don't think she's evil. I think,
No.
and we'll be doing a roast of Greta Thunberg tomorrow. That's one of the best things that's happened.
Yes.
She's 18 now. So we're not in violation of YouTube's guidelines in criticizing someone who serves to actually pressure legislative policy.
And she was replaced immediately when she turned 18.
She was replaced immediately.
Like Michael Jackson seeing a pubic hair. Oh, right out.
And David Hogg wondering where all the people who said he was cute went to.
Oh, sorry, David.
And we're going to be talking about impeachment. Look, do you think I guess this is my question here. Do you think that there's any constitutionality for impeachment right now? And what do you think people believe at this point? I feel like we are living in a world where it's a lie that is agreed upon. We're talking about COVID and double masks, and we'll get to that in a second. Actually, can we show that really quickly? I think we're going to tease this really quick, because coming up, it's been a flip-flop, but remember when Dr. No Strings to Hold Him Down Fauci said this about double masking?
So if you have a physical covering with one layer, you put another layer on, it just makes common sense that it likely would be more effective.
Turns out that's all bullshit.
No.
Oh, by the way, I think we do actually have some updates. We have a mugshot of the attacker from AOC, if I see. Listen, the means of reproduction.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Mind the baby mega. So
Reap what you sow?
Jeez, disgusting.
Terrible.
Joe Lewis, you deserve better. We're going to be talking about that. This is a part of the lie that is agreed upon. Listen, if you actually believed that this pandemic was as deadly as they tried to claim it was, or like Ebola, where in Liberia it had a 50% survival rate and only 2 organizations went in, one of whom was Samaritan's Purse, do you think 2 layers of your neck gaiter would make you feel any safer? The issue with Nancy Pelosi, the issue with Gavin Newsom going out to dinners, and the issue with Nancy Pelosi getting a blowout in a particle vortex, right, and they get caught again and again and again, is not hypocrisy. Right? Listen, everyone here is a hypocrite. I'm faithful to my wife. Sometimes there's a nice big pair of tits, and I go, and don't look, because I'm a hypocrite. I'm a man.
Hello.
I'm attracted to breasts. I wouldn't listen. Come on, don't sell yourself short. You have tremendous tits, Dave.
Thank you. They are real and they are spectacular.
We're all hypocrites. It's that they aren't actually afraid. These people aren't actually afraid of the virus with a 50% mortality rate or even a 7% mortality rate. The idea of the election being just like every other election before us, that Joe Biden, who never campaigned, who never left his basement, received more votes than any president throughout the entirety of American history, and that there's this widespread coalition and nothing untoward happened. This is a lie that is agreed upon. The idea that there's science and you double mask and you triple mask and we should trust the World Health Organization, it's a lie that's agreed upon. The idea that there's any legitimacy to impeaching a former president or president, this is a lie that is agreed upon. And any Republicans who go along with that lie, well, you're wieners. So
I think that if you do want two masks, though, just put a plastic bag over your face.
Yes.
And let the Lord call you home.
Yes. Put a plastic bag over your face with an extra filter of pecking peanuts.
Yes. I'd say 3 masks. Why not 4?
Yeah. Keep it going.
Exactly.
Okay. By the way, if you want to support, we're going to have Mike Rowe up in a little bit, but subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Android for the audio-only version. You can go there when you're on the road. I don't know why you listen to audio-only. And the best thing you can do is just hit like on this show, whether you're watching live or afterward. Just hit like. It helps the algorithms. And comment. Just leave a comment. I know you can't comment live. We don't do live chat on YouTube because we don't want to be held liable for all the horrible things that you say. We love you, but some of you, a little bit crazy, a little bit lonely, and we get that this is a purge for you. We want nothing to do with that. But once the show is archived, just leave a comment. And you know what? Today, you can answer the question of the day. Tell me your favorite dog. What's your favorite dog?
That's
nice.
It could be a name or a breed. If you like cats, kill yourself. Come on. And we'll be taking your Mug Club chat a little bit later on
about
with
Garfield?
Mike Rowe. Yeah, not really a big fan.
No?
Not only Garfield, but the weird people who have all the Snoopy gear. You know those
That's
people that
weird,
get Snoopy
My mom was
everything?
both.
Really?
Man.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Sorry,
My
It's
mom
home.
had Tweety Bird
his
jacket.
mom's on the spectrum. His mom's got a little bit of Greta Thunberg in him.
Oh, come on.
Do you think that's really how
She's texting me
you,
right now.
You deal with somebody, you're like, listen, I don't know how you are with Asperger's, but what do you think of Snoopy? And you're like, well, I have
Let me
so
know.
much stuff.
Oh, I love Snoopy.
It's my
All right.
favorite.
Yeah, or
is,
like
that
Take notes.
is that 3 Garfield things clinged to the back of your car in the back window?
All right, Gerald has some strong opinions on this, and let me
I
know whatever's
do.
happening on CNN, because I know it's a slow news day when
Yeah.
people are spending all of this time about claims with no substantiation whatsoever of sexual assault. Did she claim that the sexual assault happened in the Capitol?
No, I don't think that's what she was saying.
Well, I'll assume she did. So, what's happening right now, and this is the lie that is agreed upon by the media, they want you to believe that this is common practice, that this has happened at some point, any point throughout American history. It hasn't. That President
Fact check.
Donald Trump, in contrast to former Vice President Joe Biden, could be impeached even though he's out of office. This is their new plan.
He's open, and Mueller is pretty express on this in his report. He says that Trump can be indicted after he leaves office, and in the interim, there's a possibility of congressional impeachment.
An official can be impeached even after they leave office.
If we say it enough times.
Chapter from our history tells us that Trump can be impeached and can be tried in the Senate even after he leaves office.
By the way, if you don't cut that man out properly before serving him, he can poison you.
What?
Pufferfish face.
Is that a handsome contest?
You all get party favors.
Beautiful people.
But no one gets first. Okay, let me read this to you really quickly. So, Article 2, Section 4. It's pretty clear. Impeachment is for removal from office. The president shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. And the founders, right, they base the requirements for impeachment on this. This is something a lot of people don't know. I have to get a little nerdy on the English practice, except they altered it, of course, to specifically more apply to public officials because we don't really have royalty. Unlike you Canadians, my home country, where you still keep the queen on your your money, your pussies, all of you, Canada. Listen, here's a good rule of thumb. If you are a neighbor right to the north of a country that fought off the royalty and the most powerful economic superpower of one century, only to become the next great economic superpower of the following century, and you still keep the royalty on your money, you're a pussy.
Listen, when African colonies that have no weapons can revolt and get the crown out of their country,
when the French get their own province,
is a loonie royal?
I have no idea. I don't know what I don't even know what it means, honestly. Canadian
the loonie, the dollar.
I know what it is, but
toonie
the toonie is it looks like a peso.
Yeah,
it's a silly country. The fact that it isn't a 51st state is proof that we are not an evil empire.
I know,
well, yeah, it's also funny because strippers are like, thank you for the change. Because it's your rite of passage when you're I'm from Detroit. You go over there, you're 19, you can drink.
Right, yes.
You know, so you go over there and you give silly goose money to the lady dancers.
Never has a more accurate summary of Canada been described. So the founders, right, they switched it to apply to public officials. Let me read you here from the founding documents. The Constitution established an impeachment mechanism exclusively geared toward holding public officials, including the president, accountable. This contrasted with the English practice of impeachment, which would extend to any individual save the crown, not the crappy series. I haven't actually watched the series.
It's not bad. Come on.
And here's the thing, too. People will say, well, you know what? Okay, maybe you're just talking about the law and the history. Precedent also matters. You can see how this is applied in practice. Congress, they annotated, right? The Constitution states the framers, they were very clear. They envisioned punishment, for impeachment exclusively for removal from office. That's what it means. That's what it's for. Censure is a different thing.
Right.
Which for me, for a long time, I'm like, they can censor? No, censure is basically public admonishment. It's basically the modern day stocks, only there are no consequences.
It's like a slap on the wrist, basically, for a public official.
The American colonies largely limited impeachment to office holders on the basis of misconduct misconduct committed in office, and the available punishment for impeachment was limited to removal from office. Again, while we're talking about precedent, Nixon resigned. Why? He resigned so that he wouldn't be impeached, and they didn't impeach him after, and they really wanted to impeach him. And Ford was another
He pardoned him later on.
Although Gerald Ford, he smoked 6 bowls of pipe tobacco a day, and he died at 94.
Did he really?
Was totally healthy.
Good man.
Good. He was a good man, Gerald Ford. Didn't do a whole lot. You know what no one has said in the last 10 years?
What?
I hate Gerald Ford.
No.
He just kind of went away in
no one
history.
remembers.
Just breezed right through his
You ever
term.
been to the Gerald Ford Library in Grand Rapids?
I assure you I haven't.
It's basically a pizza slice.
Is it?
It's like it's like a pizza slice, and it starts off with memorabilia from Gerald Ford, the 2 years, and then as you go back, there's an Elvis exhibit.
They're like, we need to fill in some space.
In Grand Rapids, it's like go to the Gerald Ford Museum. There's nothing left. Like Elvis, and there's Chuck Berry. And like, what about Gerald Ford? He played here at Grand Rapids High. That was at the front.
Yeah.
And
nothing.
also we have an IKEA display here because there's kind of a partnership. We ran out of grants.
Is the Chuck Berry display just in the women's room?
Right, where AOC is hiding.
Yes, apparently so. Well, so there one bit of information I want
He
to point
tried
here.
to kill me with his kick.
I went
He
in the
wouldn't
one
go- he
room
wouldn't
where
do
I knew
that.
men couldn't go. She
true,
used
there's no
blank
safe
men.
place.
Thanks,
philosophy.
Title IX.
No, there's no safe place now. Men can go in the women's restroom. So
Yeah.
Allowed
you did it to
everywhere.
And
yourself,
beat the hell
I
out of
think.
women at sports.
Well, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Progress.
Did you see that? That dude. He looked like Keith David in a wig.
Okay, Gerald, you had something to point on the
So
constitutionality.
on the constitutionality of it, right? I think you've made a very good point that obviously the only punishment is removal from office. The only thing that goes with that is the inability to run for future office, right? And I think that's really what they're getting at is they're trying to bend the rules and continue an impeachment process meant to remove somebody from office so that they can go, ha ha ha, 2024, you're out. And I don't think, are you really that afraid of Donald Trump?
They are.
That
Yes,
you think
they are.
in 4 years
They absolutely are.
he's going to be the guy?
They absolutely are. They check their beds for Donald Trump.
I really do think they are afraid of him, but that goes to another level. But you can't, thinking that you can impeach a former politician, somebody who doesn't hold office anymore, and that it will have any effect whatsoever, because they're looking at this and saying, impeach, indict, imprison. So this isn't just one thing that they're trying to do. And yes, after a president is removed from office, he goes back to being a private citizen who can be held liable in a court of law. But guess what? It would have to go through the courts.
Unless
you have no
you're a
evidence.
Biden.
Well,
Unless you're a
that's true,
Biden
right.
snorting coke
You
off
could
your
be-
niece's hip bones.
You can be pardoned and be
Yeah.
taken
Then we're
care
a little
of.
murky on the rule book.
Yeah.
No, they absolutely are afraid of Trump. AOC checks her closet. Trump, are you in there?
Again?
He tried to hurt me.
No,
I
it's
almost
just Biden.
died getting pants.
Trump's like, listen, AOC, I only go for Russian models. You're fine. It could be. No. The Abercrombie ethnic, kind of mysterious, a little exotic. It doesn't really get you quite across the finish line because
No.
you're toothy. So, there she is right now. Look, CNN talking about AOC.
Yeah.
And I haven't told many people that in my life.
I haven't told many people except all my social media and CNN
Yeah.
and my publicist who sent out a
When
press
we go
release
through trauma
So the first
3.0
person I'm going to tell is everybody.
and my turtleneck guy.
Yes.
on each other.
She's just
On a pair of tweets
playing this
following
up.
that, the congresswoman wrote this, quote, "My story isn't the only story. It's just one story of many of those whose lives were endangered at the Capitol by the lies, the threats, and the violence fanned by the cowardice of people who chose personal gain above
Oh, come
democracy."
on.
We're gonna take
Remember
a
when
break.
glasses would make people look smarter?
The cowardice. Listen,
She
you
broke
worked
that.
as a barmaid and then suckled at the taxpayer teat because you won a race from an incumbent who didn't show up for a debate. You've never taken a risk. You can say what you want about Donald Trump. The guy risked a whole lot for a salary that was $400,000 that hasn't even really been adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
He could find $400,000 in his suit jacket pocket that he accidentally drapes over a hobo on the way to Trump Tower and not discern that lack of finance in his accounts. We talk about cowardice. Listen, I understand why people are upset with conspiracy theorists, and I don't like seeing people in Nancy Pelosi's. That is the people's house.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the process. I think that a lot of people they felt their voices weren't heard, and I understand why your voices weren't heard because People didn't do the work that they needed to do. When I say you were played by people at the top as it relates to election irregularities and fraud, people weren't doing their due diligence, okay?
Yeah.
You can see it by the typos in the briefs. You can see it by the fact that behind the scenes we had to correct some of this data, and it's really hard for us when we have the truth, when we've tried to talk about the truth in the show, where we go, look, X thousand voter rolls here. These are addresses that don't exist. That's what we were going to do in Nevada. You know what? Comment below. Let us know if you still want us to do the Nevada live stream where we just show you 40 addresses with random places that don't exist. Maybe it's more relevant now because they're banning anyone who shows you the truth. We can still do it. My heart gave out. I apologize.
It was too small.
But the point is, they weren't doing their due diligence, and so people were waiting for those who had the ability to do something, to affect change, and they didn't. And when those same people are being labeled Nazis and being labeled enemies of the state, then they say, well, you know what? All right, I guess I'm an enemy of the state now. And now they call for unity. And they want to call for unity by tarring and feathering the man who actually support. And when I say, I don't mean conspiracy theorists. I don't mean radical right-wingers.
Right.
I mean the man who actually fought for small businesses. The man who unions are finding out the hard way now actually fought for the American working class. The man who was loathed by hedge funders, right? You decide that you want to vilify this man while you simultaneously protect all of your cronies in Wall Street and big tech and big media, and you wonder why people are upset. All right. Hit the notification bell, by the way, if you're subscribed, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot as we talk about big tech, and we are suing Facebook.
Yes.
Go read the story. It's not the same as, this is a big one.
How real with the insurgents, though? Were they actually Republicans?
I don't.
That's the part that I'm really curious. If people,
it seems like it was a mix.
Yeah.
At the very least.
And there were some crazy people who actually believed that Joe Biden was going to be arrested on January 20th. This is what I will say: the people out there who thought it was all part of the plan. And I've never been a conspiracy theorist. I try to act in the realm of fact. And it doesn't mean that there aren't some conspiracies that are true.
Yeah.
Do I think the Clintons killed people? Yeah. Come on. But
quite a list.
Some people were telling me they were saying this is actually all part of the plan with Donald Trump. Right? All part of the plan to expose voter fraud. He's going to do this, and then in the end of 4 years, expose voter fraud. I'm like, okay, I don't think that's part of the plan. Then they go, it's all part of the plan, January 6th. And then people are saying it's all part of the plan, January 20th. Joe Biden's going to be arrested. Look. If you believe that, you're stupid. Let me tell you, you've never run a business, you have never been in combat, you have never had to lead people. You do not set a plan in motion which allows for zero contingencies. It would be like Jocko saying, all right, okay, listen, we're going into Kandahar, okay? We're going to let them surround us. Wait, Jocko, that doesn't... Hold on. Go with me here. How many people do we have? We only have 11 troops. Okay, we're going to let them kill 10 first. No, wait, Jocko, hey, I've got them right where I want them. Then I'm going to put up the white flag, and then the cavalry will come over the hill. You don't make that plan!
No,
so don't let yourself be led astray, just like a stupid branding play named Robin Hood, you idiot Bernie Bros.
Well, I guess you've never lost a game of 11D chess.
That's what it really comes down to.
I like how
lose
every
games
time
of chess against myself.
But every time it failed, they were like, well, now it's going to be 6D chess. It's like, no, I don't think it stopped at 3.
Well, I will tell you, there was a lot of disorganization, and I can't always reveal names. We've always tried to welcome, but there was a lot of disorganization at the top that was disheartening. It was disheartening because we were doing this work behind the scenes. And listen, but it doesn't mean that these people didn't feel their voice was heard, and that is true because Democrats were trying to completely shut down giant swaths of evidence which were never heard. That being said, the people whose responsibility it was to make sure that the cases were airtight didn't do their job. My disappointment is not with these things being thrown out. My disappointment is not just, it's with the irresponsibility in not doing your due diligence, because this was something that could have been a watershed moment, and instead, you screwed the pooch.
Well, and one of the
I'm
things,
not talking about you, Joe Lewis. Don't take it personally.
You wouldn't screw him.
You're adorable.
Right. I think one of the things that frustrates me...
Did you say I wouldn't screw him? That's disgusting.
What, you would screw him?
No, I'm saying, what is... See, look, this is what happens when you don't have a comedian. You think like bestiality.
This is why Washington Carver invented peanut butter. Dogs hate margarine.
Oh, right.
That's
terrible.
Steven's
what I was going to say is
mad at me for that.
I'm not mad at you for anything,
Lecture.
except your lack of wrinkles.
That's true.
You little
he went to
you
makeup.
little American Girl doll look-alike. Look at his face. He's the face of a 14-year-old. He's never had a wrinkle. Go, make your point there, Gerald.
Nice. I was going to say that's the biggest thing in this that I want to make sure happens is that at some point the flames cool down enough to where we can actually take a nonpartisan look back at what happened during this election and go, okay, we need to fix things, but it will never happen. And I don't think it will, at least, because guys like Jake Tapper are out there saying it's the big lie, right? Which was what was used to describe what the Nazis did.
Right.
And so anybody who thinks there was any shred of craziness that went on.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Hold that thought. Look, Chicago Teachers Union's demands. Okay, hold on a second. Look, reopening, this is on CNN, reopening metric-based CDC guidance. Not a single demand was for the bettering of teaching.
Or kids.
Did you notice that?
Yes.
None of it had anything to do with the children.
Yeah. But unions are for the children.
Okay.
That guy had a very
Absolutely for the
50s haircut.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so anyway,
He's like the guy who wouldn't be allowed in the office in Mad Men.
No.
Now, like, can I come in? Not by the hair, but chinny chin chin.
Right. Well, no, that's a great example, though, Stephen. It's every single issue that we have. If you're against public schools because they are terrible places where people go and don't get educated, you hate teachers.
Right.
Teachers who are sacrificing, and then they'll trot out the story of them buying the
real
supplies.
heroes.
Right?
Yeah.
They'll buy the supplies, and I'm sacrificing for the kids, and then stuff like this happens, and it's clear they're not for the kids. And then AOC goes on here, and that's the problem that I have with this. Not that if she was a victim of sexual assault or had a terrible experience in the Capitol that we shouldn't be, I guess, compassionate for that, obviously, right, and try to fix it, but that she's using it so obviously to push something that's a lie.
The idiots at the Capitol have nothing to do with Ted Cruz.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And
Like,
it has
that's
nothing
the lie.
to do with the fact that there were voter rolls that didn't balance, that didn't match up, and that there were thousands of people who voted from addresses that don't exist.
Yeah.
Right?
Ted
It's
Cruz
verifiable.
was extending an olive branch to get her to agree, and then she responded with you
that.
tried to kill
You're trying
me.
to get me
Murder me.
killed.
No.
She's like
Resign.
She's like Lenny with the rabbit, only it was a peace dove offering. I didn't know I wanted beans on my ketchup.
Right.
That's too close to
She
reality.
just doesn't like Ted Cruz.
Like
why
Richard
pick
here
him?
with a gerbil.
Oh,
Too far?
Just give him an empty toilet paper roll filled with dryer sheets. Leave him alone.
But isn't it strange? Like, of all the things that Trump said, I really feel that this is a case where he didn't say anything wrong at all.
As a matter of fact, he went out of his way. So this is a good example. He went out of his way to try and be peaceful. So
Yeah.
sorry, now we're
100%.
circling back to the impeachment.
I didn't mean to
thing.
bring it back, but it's,
No, we should. We need to finish this. We
Yeah.
need to talk about the impeachment.
Yeah.
They are claiming, I think we have clip C where this is them claiming that he incited violence at the Capitol, or is this the Trump clip?
clip B is
Clip B is them claiming. So their claim, and the AOC claim, and they try to extend it to Ted Cruz and Holly, right, and all of these people, is that Donald Trump was inciting violence, and that's the reason that he should be impeached post-presidency, which, of course, doesn't happen, hasn't happened, and will not happen.
And they were writing up these articles of impeachment. I want to read a portion of it to you here. It says, Donald John Trump engaged in high crimes and misdemeanors by willfully inciting violence against the government of the United States.
They were provoked by the president.
Rachel Levine.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters.
And we know that the President of the United States incited this insurrection.
We do.
Senators will have to
Cosplaying as
decide
Scorpion.
if they believe Donald John Trump incited the erection.
There it is.
You bet he did.
Too much spirit cooking going on behind the scenes. Okay, so let's look at this timeline. And
Amy
actually,
sure did.
I want you to give me the token now in here we can find, or Lily, I forgot to include this, the record for the mile, running the mile, how quick it is.
okay, yeah.
Because here is at 12:16 p.m. Here's a timeline. 12:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or as I call it, the devil's time. This is the speech from Donald Trump where he called for violence. You can hear it from his mouth.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Shit.
Oh, wow.
Show map was incorrect. I apologize.
I take it back. That is clearly murder.
I need to do my due diligence.
Yes.
Those who hand me shekels told me to say that he encouraged violence. I'm a tall
He
Jew.
did.
Haven't you seen the anti-Semitic comments?
I have, yeah.
He's a shill.
You're
No,
a Nazi
so
and a
that
Jew,
was-
which is weird.
That was
that work?
at 12:16. Then it was at 1:10 they began grappling with the police, right? We have an overlay here. At 1:10 p.m. they began grappling with the police. A minute later, bring up this overlay here, at 1:11 p.m. The White House speech ended. Okay?
Okay.
The Capitol was 1.8 miles away from the speech at the White House. How long did it take for them to actually get there when they actually started getting into the building? Do we have? I thought we had this on the map. Get this token out and get it to move. It's faster than the. It's faster than a minute. It's faster than the mile world record.
So they were hoofing it, dude.
Yeah, and it's 1.8 miles. They did it faster than the fastest people in the history of mankind could have done it because they were really inspired by Donald Trump saying, "Make your voices peacefully heard."
And patriotically, by the way. Yeah,
and they were heavy. Some of them.
Yeah,
some of them.
Some of them.
Some of them were heavy. I don't want to insult anyone. But
well, they can be a little stocky. You know,
a little golden Corelli.
And you know, what's not heavy is my Spartan armor. It's Spartan Armor Systems. We'll talk about it a little bit later. This is unbelievably light. It's comfortable. It's light. I can breathe, even with my bad heart.
It's not compressing it further.
And this is another claim that they're making. They're making the claim that Trump could be convicted in the Senate impeachment trial. Here's the thing: 45 Senate Republicans. They already voted with Rand Paul, who I really do like. Rand Paul. He's one of the few guys who just stop being so catty. Rand Paul is like, I love, but he doesn't need to be so bitchy.
No, he's like a gay man watching Sex in the City.
Well, really, if Sarah only understood the constitutionality of the Upper East Side, not much. Not much. Like, you know what? I like this bill, Rand, but I just want to kick the shit out of you.
Right.
I don't know why.
Got that kind of look.
So they're not going to do anything with it, right? I mean, there's no way.
No. So that means they could never reach the 2/3 of the majority required. They could absolutely never reach the 2/3 of the majority required to impeach Donald Trump.
Yeah. And you know why we put in 2/3? When you read back through some of the historical context, they put in 2/3 so it would not be a purely partisan issue. Right? Which we don't have in the House, so it was a partisan issue.
Which should be irrelevant in the era of unity, Gerald.
Yes.
Don't be throwing around words like partisan that get us auto-throttled on YouTube.
Please.
So we should be unified in breaking the law.
I just bought an auto-throttler.
I just shorted the stock of an auto-throttler.
Oh, good.
Yeah, just because I'm hoping. One of these days, I'm just going to, when I walk off from the show, I'm just going to short the stock of some stock. I'm just going to be like, sell your position.
I do it.
Sell your position on 7-Eleven and Racetrack. And buy Quick Trip if it were publicly traded.
Family Video.
I can see you doing that, actually.
Family Video.
Hey.
Get rid of Blockbuster. Do it now.
Do you have any opinions here, Dave? Is more of a political... Because, a good example, Dave Landau is a guy who I know wasn't really political. And he's not a Republican, not necessarily conservative, but you've sort of developed here over the last few years because you've seen this tight grip, this death grip that they try to have on really, you made this point yesterday, the pursuit of happiness. They're trying to take that away for the first time in American history.
It is the first time in American history that people are not able to open up their stores. They are being punished for just being alive. They're locked inside. Yep. Like, you just start seeing people being attacked every single day, people going crazy. It's sad, and it's the first time that we've ever experienced this in this country. Like, that's my serious opinion, and as somebody who I would say identified like more of like a George Carlin liberal where I just hate everything.
Right.
I wouldn't really call it liberal, but I'm definitely... I move a little right now, obviously, because that's not the left. This is just a group of people who want to take down America, and that's what bothers me.
Well, I don't even think you move to the right a little bit, where Dave Rubin is like, well, it's a classical liberal, because you know where you line up on issues. These lockdowns are absurd. Locking out individual investors is absurd. Locking down freedom of speech is absurd. Increasing taxes on middle-class businesses is absurd. That makes you... talk about a wide tent. The fact that Dave Landau would be considered an enemy of the state by someone like an AOC.
Absolutely. Right.
You would consider yourself moderate. They consider you radical right.
Exactly. Because they are the radical left.
There really is only a radical left. Let me ask, who is the moderate left? Right now. Yeah. Right now, who is the moderate left? Joe Biden was sold as the most moderate true. He doesn't know what he's signing.
I don't think so.
That's also why I think they're going to weekend at Bernie's this guy until the end of the term. It doesn't matter what happens to him.
Signing it.
Because we just sign what's in front of you.
Well, I think we should...
No, it's like a wrestler.
Another executive order, Biden.
It's like a wrestler with a head injury doing autographs. They're just like, just keep going. He's like, yeah.
Well, Dave, I think one of the reasons that you have moved to the right, as you say...
The only president who needs a leather helmet.
Or wore one at one time and really caused some issues.
It's part of the problem, no air pockets. You had a case study in your hometown on what would happen if liberals got their way, right?
Yeah.
You saw what happened when liberals got their way. People moved out, animals moved in, drug dealers moved in, and all kinds of craziness happened, right? So I mean, you had something right in front of you to see.
I've not heard of that in Detroit, but I'll take your word on it.
Oh my God!
Every year,
I hate you.
Every year there'll be like a panda or something escaping from a drug dealer's house and just walking around. They're like, if you see a tiger out there with a pierced ear, That belongs to a guy named Tron. Yeah, no,
and also a rival gang is trying to take it out, but that's primarily because he pierced the gay ear.
Yes, exactly.
The wrong ear.
Wrong side.
We're not big on that in Detroit.
Not good.
Joe Exotic just in
They're
protecting
great.
the tiger.
Joe Exotic, what a guy.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Okay, so nothing more on look. Impeachment is politically. Here's the main takeaway for impeachment for people who are out there listening. Look, it's silly. This is theatrics, okay, and this is designed to fragment the country while they try to call everyone together for unity. They are not interested in unity.
Nope.
Impeaching a former president, right? Of course, at the behest of the current former vice president. Impeaching a former president is unprecedented. It's unconstitutional. They have no interest in unifying with anyone, provided I don't want to say anyone, but if you have some limitations, for example, on abortions, where you don't believe that babies should be killed up until and including birth, they don't want to unify with you. If you believe that you should have the right to protect your life and limb and family with your own firearms and your God-ordained, constitutionally protected Second Amendment right, they don't want to unify with you. If you believe that you should be able to express unpopular opinions on social media or out in a town square, they don't want to unify with you. If you believe that middle-income families actually deserve the right to go to work and businesses deserve the right to hire people and open responsibly, they don't want to unify with you. If you believe that individual investors should be able to invest their own money in the exact same kind of parlor tricks that Wall Street do, they don't want to unify with you. They only want to unify with you if you run one of these big tech companies, if you run one of these big Wall Street firms, or if you are one of the very small percentage of Republicans who want to virtue signal to Democrats as a part of the sham impeachment because they're starting their next Lincoln project where they are undoubtedly molesting children in closets. Those are the only people they want to unify with. And guess what? I'm not putting on that team jersey, but I do put on the team jersey of Spartan Armor. We're going to talk about double masking. What?
Oh, what the?
Dave!
I am so sorry. I was just playing with it.
That is a gross violation of firearm safety.
I thought you liked guns here.
I do. I don't want to be shot with them.
No. Oh,
It works.
Point that over there.
Well, you're not.
Well, stop pointing it at me. Because stop it.
Just
No, it works though.
Point it away.
It works though.
Still loaded?
Thank God I decided to wear this today.
It works though. You're not dead.
I know. Put it down.
Look it.
Put it down and aim it away from Joe
off
Lewis.
the trigger.
Yeah.
I'm not aiming it at the dog.
No, put it on the couch. There you go.
On this couch?
Yeah, that couch. That's fine.
Should I throw it?
Just throw it.
Yeah.
Which by the trigger?
Yeah, just throw it as I get to my plug here for my wonderful sponsor who will undoubtedly be happy. Spartan Armor, by the way. They have the balls to sponsor this show. And listen, you don't have to be some crazy conspiracy theorist to actually want to be able to protect yourself from some kind of an active shooter situation. This is really light.
Or Dave.
This is something that I wear. It's a plate carrier. But they have some that go under your clothes that are really light. They're up to like 44 Magnum proof and stab. Some of them are stab proof. Some of them are stab resistant. Something that's really big with Spartan Armor, there are a lot of armor carriers out there. And they say that they're NIJ equivalent. That's something. These ones are actually NIJ certified.
Yeah.
They're actually certified, which is a real thing. It's a certification. It's like
Sounds
a pharmaceutical versus a supplement that says, like, well, you know, we promise that what's on the label is on the label. How do I know? You screwed up. You trusted us. So their stuff is NIJ certified. You can go to SpartanArmorSystems.com and use the promo code Crowder. You get 10% off. You get 10% off. We use them all the time, Spartan Armor, and sometimes you can't even tell when we're wearing them.
Yeah, the thing that I had on election night, that thing was light.
The only thing is, I don't want you to shoot me too much because then it does, it compromises it.
I know. It wasn't on purpose.
Well, next time it'll be you.
I will say Allah Akbar next time.
No,
yeah, let us
know.
know.
You'd have to use a knife.
Give us a heads up.
So
a knife is good.
Yeah.
All right.
A guy in a Walmart and.
So is it stab resistant? Just depending on if it's AOC stabbing you, then it's actually stab proof.
Stab resistant. If you're amidst Antifa, you can consider it stab proof.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Not strong enough.
If the Proud Boys show up, you might want to add some tinfoil.
Yeah.
They're using their parents' garbage can lids as shields.
Mom, I'm fighting fascists.
Stop cutting holes in the recycling bin.
By being a fascist.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically a group of the son from Schitt's Creek. So let's go. This is another thing, a lie that's agreed upon. Do you remember this? This is something. Remember the double masking? Now here's the thing. It's really important. We're going to get to all of Fauci's flip-flops maybe tomorrow, maybe on another day, because I think it's important for people to be held accountable. And, of course, those in the scientific community, really those who politicize science at the top, are never held accountable. But many of you may not remember this, so let's give you a timeline. This wasn't that long ago. Doctor, who hasn't seen a patient in several decades,
still a doctor,
Fauci, said that wearing 2 masks was something you should do.
So if you have a physical covering with one layer, you put another layer on, it just makes common sense.
Okay. Now, don't you love how when people were talking about like hydroxychloroquine or these other, they go, well, look, if this is treating some kind of an immune response and some sort of an inflamed immune response, some of the other immunomodulators or anti-inflammatories, it makes sense that they might work through the same mechanism of action. Like, well, there's no science for that. But now you're saying when someone puts on a smiley face, don't worry, be happy, double target mask, oh, you know what? Listen, that's good enough for me. That's a double-blind golden standard trial. Well, this was taken so seriously that everyone in the current administration, including our former vice president, wore double masks. Here you go. Look at this. Look at all these people. Well, where are you, Token Owen? Bring up the overlay. Bring up the overlay, Token Owen. We need to see all these people being stupid, Token Owen. There you go. Look at that. There you got Kamala Harris. You got Chucky. You got Buttgig. You got Fauci himself. Buttgig again.
But
and Biden.
Biden actually didn't realize he had already had a mask on.
What's funny is Biden did it over an N95 mask just because he wanted to virtue. Like, no one is saying you need a second mask over an N95 mask. He's like, screw him. I'll show them that I really care.
This is better.
I think it was total accident. Then he was like, you better tell them that they need this.
That's where the
Biden, come on, please, Biden. It's embarrassing. Listen, come on. I'm hanging on by a very thin thread here, man.
Barely here.
I love how he said it's common.
It's common sense. Well, common sense apparently does not the scientific process make, because it turns out there's no science to it. Here he is now.
Many people who feel, if you really want to have an extra little bit of protection, maybe I should put 2 masks on. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's no data that indicates that is going to make a difference. And that's the reason why the CDC has not changed the recommendation.
You dismissive prick. This guy's like, he's like, maybe some people think wearing 2 masks. They think it because of you.
That was you.
They think it because of you. It would have come from nobody else, if not your little Geppetto Pinocchio ass, okay?
This guy is playing Simon Says with America.
Yeah.
And listen, it's not my fault. I'm not very good at Simon Says. I prefer bop it. Bop it, twist it, bang it, spin it.
It's crazy.
You know what he just did, though? He said there's nothing...
Parker Brothers!
He said, shut up. There's nothing wrong with that. He said there's nothing wrong with 2 masks. Guess what? There is.
There's a lot wrong with 2 masks.
I don't play sorry,
listen, if you
not.
put 2 masks on, you can't get enough airflow through the mask, and so it comes in and out from the sides.
There are
And so you have
several
no
problems.
protection.
Here's the thing. There are several problems with 2 masks. One,
Very
it
unhappy.
may make the mask fit improperly, or the second mask fit improperly. You're more likely to be fiddling with it with your hands. Also, if you happen to have COVID and you are breathing into the particles of these masks, it's like dandelion root that you can breathe and aspirate these particles, and it can actually make it more harmful, not to mention the fact that it makes you look like a dick.
Yeah. That's the most important one.
I don't like to make absolute litmus tests. If you wear 2 masks, we will never be friends.
Never.
You are not welcome to my house.
Ever.
And I have house parties with more than 6 people all the time. Send the Gestapo. I don't care what Red says.
Yeah, it's true, you do.
I don't ever get invited.
I love all the
What's
people
that?
saying, taking pictures and selfies and stuff and putting it online with 2 masks. It's like, oh my God.
The double
People
mask.
also took a picture of men, themselves crying selfies and put it on Instagram like that was okay. It's like, you're crying because Biden won? You're not my friend. Put a mask over your whole face.
Unfollow.
Plastic with packing peanuts.
So sad.
And a rubber band.
And not to mention, look, there's a problem. So, the double mask is the mark of the anti-science beast. Okay? The double mask is the mark of the anti-science beast because you don't believe in science. You have no respect for the scientific process. Not to mention the worst effects, which are the societal ramifications of everyone being degraded, everyone being insulted and labeled a science denier if they did not, in fact, wear 2 masks. But here you go. This is something, just in case you think it was just Dr. Fauci, this was parroted, and you were actually given instructions on mainstream media predicated on the idea of a scientific basis as to how to utilize the double mask.
Certainly, if you have an immunocompromised condition or any other medical problem that is seriously compromising your immune system, or you're older, then you might be a person who needs to wear 2 masks, especially in more dangerous situations like going out in crowded spaces.
Elect Joe Biden does it. Mitt Romney double masked during the Capitol insurrection. Tom Cruise also double masks.
Actually putting the cloth mask first and then putting the surgical mask
on top of it. You just made this an N95 right here.
Wearing 2 good quality masks can provide an extra layer of protection.
Yeah, you got to think it's just an added layer, an added wall between you and the world there.
With regards to doubling up on surgical or cloth masks, I would say that adds extra protection in terms of the droplets being expelled.
Place the surgical mask on your face first. Now place the cloth mask on top. The cloth mask provides a physical barrier to respiratory droplets.
Well, there you go. Only turns out there's no science behind any of that.
No.
Don't you love that instruction there? They're going, 2, and by the way, did you notice that the last one, that was Washington Post, was telling you to do it the opposite way.
Yeah.
Of ABC.
Well, and
They flipped
Tom Cruise was just trying to replace his 2 beards.
By the way, the masks don't work at all if you have facial hair. Did you know that? Is that true? That's what they said. Like, it doesn't work. Shave your facial hair. So just shave our facial hair way too. Okay. What's the instruction? Shave your facial hair.
Okay.
Don't wear a mask. Actually, you should wear a mask.
Okay.
Now wear 2 masks. No, put it back. Put it back. Put it back. 1 mask. Like, and then at any point, if you go, hold on a second, is there science for any of this shit? You're labeled a science denier.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think I've ever seen someone deny science more than Fauci if his previous statement was considered science.
Every statement he makes is considered science by the left right now. Everything he says is gospel.
Are we able to get Thomas Finnegan? We are going to be able to get Thomas Finnegan. Okay, because this is a thing.
Okay.
We're going to be talking tomorrow about the science from tests. And listen, I want people to get tested.
Yeah.
By the way, anyone in the studio here who wants a vaccine, I'm just going to hit this, talk to the control. Anyone in the control room out there who wants a vaccine, I'll pay for anyone who wants a vaccine. I don't want one, okay? I want people here to understand the science. And I want people to stay safe.
Yes, of course.
But the tests have not been what we were told. The vaccines, which they said you shouldn't trust, now they're saying to trust. The double masking now, Fauci, saying there is no science for it. The good news is, though, at least the good old Chinese are coming up with some new methods. And right now, this is on. I mean, it's making its way to the public. They feel pretty good about the new testing, a new anal swab, I think.
Yep, it's coming on.
Oh, let's make sure we got it. This is.
Oh, that was it.
Okay. So this is actually what they're developing in China right now to check your viral load.
Must be their anniversary.
So, and yeah, that's enough. And I think, here, sometimes at Lotto Skyder, we get an exclusive before other people do. We get access, we get access to Spartan Armor, Walther. We have, I guess, what would you call it, sort of premier access to the anal swab. And Thomas Finnegan is actually testing it for you. Time to go on the ground with Thomas Finnegan. All right, Thomas Finnegan, are you there, sir? Can you hear us?
Yes, Stephen. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Okay, let us know. Fill us in. What's going on? What is this new COVID testing method? What can people expect?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. The way I like to look at it is we're looking for accuracy.
Okay.
And you go straight to the horse's mouth to get that.
Okay, and when can we expect the rollout?
Well, that again, it depends on your location and which municipality you're in. They all have their own schedules.
It's very district to district.
Exactly, and is that?
You get swabbed now.
That's
Okay. Now we have our next guest. Hopefully, Thomas Finnegan figures. I hope he finds what he's looking for.
He'll get it.
Really grateful.
Accuracy has no price.
It really has. You can't put a price on accuracy. And watch, in 2 months, we'll find out that does nothing for you.
Of course.
Like ice baths.
Some gay Chinese doctor anal swab.
Yeah,
it's aware.
You must control your
goes
bus.
pretty far in those.
Okay. All right. Now, this is a good show. This is a good show.
Yeah,
and our next
we need to
guest is
wrap
a
it up.
good guest. It is time for the guest segment with Mike Rowe, everybody. Senior Rowe, I am sorry for that introduction. How are you, sir?
I'm living the dream, dude, or whatever this is.
Yeah, well, you can call it whatever you want. Some people say nightmare. Your Twitter is Mike Rowe Works. That still does work, ironically. And I wanted to talk with you about a few things. You have this new show, right? 6 Degrees with Mike Rowe. And can you explain for people who don't know, and we'll get to what's happened with the show, what the show is, what it was about?
Sure, but I feel duty bound to first show you that the masks Mike Rowe Works has embraced say safety third, and we've sold a ton of them. And I just couldn't help but watch and think to myself, anybody who's going to put 2 of those things on, or why stop at 2, right?
Right.
I mean, 3, 4, whatever.
Well,
but
and I
want
want those for my mom because my mom is French Canadian, and I just want to hear her talk about her safety turd mask.
Right, because she can't say T's or H's.
She can't say T's or H's, and she adds S's where there are none, and she never used plurals where they should be. So when we're having twins, we're going to name our daughter Eder. So just to bust her chops.
That's awesome.
So safety third, okay.
Yeah. Oh, 6 Degrees, brand new show, Discovery Plus, new streaming service. It's a history show for people who wouldn't watch history shows. Each episode starts with a truly stupid question. Can a horseshoe help you find your soulmate? Can a mousetrap cure your hangover? Can a sheep do your taxes? The answer to these questions is always yes.
Wow.
But I get an hour to try and connect these 2 seemingly disparate points by walking through time and space on a budget and bringing various events to life vis-a-vis a surprising use of animation, puppets, archival footage, suspicious reenactments, costumes that rarely fit, wigs that don't cover people's heads entirely. It's kind of a hot mess.
So it's kind of a Rube Goldberg for the social media attention span.
It is. I mean, there was a show on years ago in the 70s called Connections, which was hosted by a brilliant guy named James Burke, who's the college professor we all wish we had. Mm-hmm. And he did this show. He would walk through like the moors of England, in his white leisure suit with his hair snapping in the breeze, explaining why it is that the tracks left by the first Roman chariots are of the same dimension as the tracks left on the moon by the lunar lander.
Well, and not to be confused with the Moors who, changed the tint over there in Sicily.
That's another story. Beethoven. We should talk about Beethoven one day and his ancestry.
Christopher Walken. True romance.
True romance. I don't know if we can get banned for even referencing a classic film now.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But that is fascinating, and this is on Discovery, and it's like you say, it's designed for people maybe who don't necessarily watch history shows. But I got to tell you, most history shows suck, and this is why. I was on my honeymoon, and it was the History Channel at this point, and it was raining, and there's only at a certain point you can't spare the fluids, and so we were in our room, and it was the History Channel or Discovery Channel, and it was, remember the Mermaid special? The special on the Mermaid? And sure. I didn't have cable for years. And so I tuned into the History Channel, and I thought it was what the History Channel had been when I had seen it years ago. I said, this is about mermaids. So it sounds to me like what you're doing is actually far more valuable than what most of these educational channels. And there are always a lot of midgets who are like buying dresses. It doesn't seem like they're educational.
Morbidly obese people.
Yeah.
Well, you've also got to look out for the morbidly obese midgets, which you don't see a lot of, but they're out there, and it's very difficult to know.
They can't swim well.
No. Watching them
but they're buoyant. They're buoyant, so it makes up for it. I'm sorry.
Watching them shop is hilarious.
Sorry, Mike. Sorry.
There was a time when, the History Channel wasn't just an H. It was really, the whole thing was history. And Discovery wasn't just a D. Mm-hmm. And nonfiction really meant the absence of fiction, and reality actually meant the presence of real things.
Right.
And in those days, there was a show called Dirty Jobs, which I was happy to do, that used something we called a truth cam, which was really just a documentary camera. We never stopped rolling on that show because we never did a second take.
Right.
And so I would use the footage from that camera to try and prove to the viewer that we weren't completely full of crap.
Right.
And, telling them a made-up story. On 6 Degrees, we do the same thing, except Dirty Jobs was really the making of a show about dirty jobs, and this is the making of a show about a bunch of people who had some bourbon and tried to figure out a neat parlor trick based on 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but couldn't find Kevin Bacon, so got Mike Rowe to do this thing instead.
Yeah, well, you know what? Listen, if you can't get a Tom Cruise, you get a Jude Law. If you can't get a Kevin Bacon, you get a Mike Rowe. But I would choose Mike Rowe. One of the greatest compliments I ever got was, when I could start growing a beard, facial scruff, at the age of 22. I had a lady who said, I really like that. It's like that sexy, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs. She wouldn't stop talking about your scruff.
I had a lady.
Yeah, I had a lady tell me I had the sexy scruff of Mike Rowe.
I'm not a lady.
And then she told me that it looked like I had tits because I was fat at that point.
Wherever there's comfort, there's pain, Stephen.
Yes, there is.
It's a backhanded compliment if I've ever heard one.
It was mainly just an insult. But I want to move to this, and then we're going to go to Mug Club exclusive, because sometimes we can't talk about everything on the YouTube. You had a show, a Facebook show as well, and this was called Returning the Favor, and it was extremely popular, well received. Now, it was canceled, from what I understand. I don't want to speak out of turn. Why was the show canceled? Was it canceled? What's the story behind that? Because, as you know, a lot of things are being removed from the history books or social media platforms these days.
Yeah, so on my page right now, there are about 30,000 people who are fairly upset. And on the Returning the Favor page, there are 2.5 million people who just learned that one of the most popular shows on Facebook was canceled last week at the height, seemingly at the height of its popularity. An Emmy Award-winning show, Stephen. I don't know if you've noticed, but can you see the Emmy okay back there?
I can't, but I was looking at your scruff. It's the depth of field effect. I just can't stop looking at your putum, but I'm sure it's lovely.
Yes, it's awesome. Anyway, the show was canceled after 4 seasons and 100 episodes, and a lot of people are assuming that it's because I may have said or done something to run afoul of the powers that be. And so I've been making the rounds telling my story of this thing, which is really not a terribly exciting story. It's that the show got canceled. I don't think I did, but the show definitely did.
But why did it get canceled if it was at its height and so popular?
Now, this is where it gets a little weird.
Okay.
You know?
I appreciate you being diplomatic. And I feel ignorant here. This is like one of the worst interviews that was ever conducted was Larry King versus Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know if you ever saw that, where he goes,
I remember it.
He goes, Seinfeld, to be clear, wasn't canceled. Larry, wasn't canceled. You walked away. #1 show of all time. Can someone get Larry my resume? Larry!
It was almost as good as when he asked the snowboarder, how important is the board?
Right up there with the snow.
Yeah. 50-50.
I kind of need 2 things, 3 if you count the weed. So why, again, because the arc, if it's so, and I know that it was so popular, and I'm not even on Facebook, where I had to go to Facebook to watch some of these installments. Did you get an answer as to why it was canceled? Because you didn't cancel it. You didn't choose to walk away.
Here's what's important to me. The show's got a lot of fans, and they're all asking me if I can take it someplace else. A, no, I didn't own that particular show. B, I don't want people to think I pulled the plug. I didn't. And C, and maybe most importantly, modesty aside, is I don't want people to think the show didn't work because it wasn't successful. All those things were true, right? But in this stupid business that we're in, big companies make big decisions for all sorts of incomprehensible reasons. Dirty Jobs was canceled at the height of its popularity, and I moped around for a couple of months, not understanding how the network could make a call like that. And this is hard for me to say. I know what's going on with you on Facebook, and on a personal level, I've been very vocal about the things that worry me.
Yeah.
I'm worried about censorship. I'm worried about safe spaces. I don't think any of that's good for the country. And here I am with a hit show that just went away. And the truth of it is, as best as I can tell, I didn't get canceled. I got fired. I've been fired before.
But you didn't get fired because they could swap you out. And by the way, if you are looking to bring the show somewhere, we could bring it under the Mug Club banner and we could just, retitle it Performing Favors. But I think that you weren't fired because they would have swapped you out with another host, right? They would have been like, and Performing Favors with Dave Rubin or, whoever, Tim Pool. The show was canceled. Do you think it had anything to do with the fact, for people who don't know, this show also was sort of highlighting the fact that we as a society place so much value on overpriced college degrees. You've been championing this cause for a long time, not because you hate the institution of education, but because when I hear you talk about it, I can tell that you compassionately want people to be gainfully employed and to be able to live out the American dream. And that, in many instances, for many people, the path is trade schools, running small businesses. I mean, it goes back to Dirty Jobs, but that was a big part of your show Returning the Favor, correct?
Facebook has allowed me to build a foundation from really the ground up. I mean, I started that Mike Rowe Works 13 years ago on Labor Day. But in 2012, we started raising money and awarding work ethic scholarships, about $5.5 million so far. And I couldn't have done it without Facebook, right? And this is just a reality of the world we live in.
Of course.
You wind up sooner or later kind of resenting the thing you rely upon, whether it's affordable electricity or, go down the list. Well, social media is no different. So I'm suddenly in this position now where I've got 6 million people on a Facebook page. I've been able to use it to do, I think, a pretty good thing, as well as this show, by the way, Returning the Favor, which was just a straight up unapologetic anthem to do-goodery. I mean, we just highlighted people in zip codes you've never been to doing nice things for their community. It was a show tailor-made for these times.
Right.
But to your point, something weird has happened with our language today. And when you talk about things like work ethic, delayed gratification, personal responsibility, attitude, right? All of those things go into our work ethic scholarship program. And you have to sign a document, a sweat pledge that basically says, I'm on board with all this stuff.
Right.
That position, I don't know when it happened, but sometime between 2010 and today, those words all became problematic.
Yeah.
And for some reason, more associated with one side of the aisle than the other. So a lot of people on my page right now, as we're talking, are like, oh, no, your show got canceled because you talked about work ethic. For the record, I don't think that's what happened, but I understand why people would look at it and say, what other explanation can there be? And that's why I'm in such a profoundly weird spot.
Have you asked for answers as to why it got canceled, or is that something you can't talk about? Because it seems like they could just say, you cost too much. You're doing your, you did your Ford commercials, and everyone, we're Facebook. We don't have any money. We're broke.
Yeah. Look, nothing to an outside objector really lines up.
Right.
If you're Facebook, you can't say we ran out of money. On the other hand, you know how it works. Budgets are budgets. COVID came. Their next season of shows wound up getting paid for with money that might have been allocated for this, and everything got put on hold and so forth and so on. Bottom line was, they were very gracious. They called me. They said, look, this sucks, but this is what we got to do. We had a great run. We did 100 episodes. Hope there are no hard feelings. And I said, you know what? There are no hard feelings. I appreciate the fact that you guys support my foundation and so forth. So, right.
I would say hard feelings. I'd say very hard feelings.
But, dude, this is the thing. This is, I think, part of why
I'm petty and small-minded, so
take that into account.
I am too. But we can two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
They have to be. And it's true that I share your concern for all things libertarian and all things First Amendment. I really do. It's also true that I've built a foundation and a business around 6 million people on a Facebook page that coincidentally greenlit a show 4 years ago that a bunch of people also like.
Of course.
Now, I can lean into one and I'll sound like a sycophant for big tech, or I can lean into the other and I'll sound like an anarchist in my bunker, wearing a bulletproof vest or whatever's going on.
It's a sponsor. It's a sponsor.
I get it works.
But it's like, where the hell do you draw a line? And I think the country is trapped, right? We're just trapped in one or the other.
Well, you know what?
What's Gutfeld call it? The prison of two ideas.
I don't know. I don't have cable, but I do want to. Speaking of which, so before we go, because I want to talk a little bit more here for Mug Club members, so you can say whatever you want. He's just a foul-mouthed little man when he gets off the YouTube. Where can people watch the 6 Degrees with Mike Rowe?
Discovery fucking Plus.
Discovery Plus. It is Mike Rowe. And by the way, everyone, we are about to leave. We're going to be taking your chat, playing Bad Movie Lines, continuing with Mike Rowe. Actually, we might not play Bad Movie Lines. We might save that for tomorrow because I'm enjoying my time with Mike Rowe. And if you're on YouTube right now, look, comment. Once this is archived, just leave a comment. That helps us through the algorithms. Today, just name your favorite dog breed and tell me if you think the impeachment is constitutional. YouTube, we love you, but not really. You see what we're doing with Facebook. Piss off.